Hello, 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 SharePoint community. Andy here. I was doing a quick little review of the most recent SharePoint roadmap Pipstot from August 2020 with Mark Cashman, and something in there caught my eye, and I just wanted to take a couple of minutes to explore it. So I'm going to kind of do this live. Feel free to follow along with me. As I was looking through here, I saw there was a section where Mark mentioned that they were updating the list and list item sharing experience. So in a list now, SharePoint site owners and members and visitors are going to see this new share command. And if they click on that command, they're going to be able to grant access to the SharePoint list. Now, this is kind of a simple way to grant access to a lot of information without having to go through the list settings and the permissions. So I wanted to take like a minute and just kind of walk through what's actually happening live. So I'm going to switch over into my tenant, and we got a little demo set up here. I'm going to head over to a list that I've created. And inside of the list, you'll notice that there's a share command up here. Now, in document libraries and some other places in SharePoint, we've been able to share for a little while. When you click the share command, you're granting access to just that one piece of content, like a single file, for instance. And there are different levels of sharing that are available. There's links, and then the links can be read-only, or they can allow you to edit. And the organization has some control over those types of links. And so the share command is something that we've kind of worked with for quite a while. But this one's a little bit different. I'm in my list, and notice right up here at the top, there's a share command, but I don't have anything in the list selected. So when I hit share here, the screen pops up and it's saying grant access. Okay, so I can go in and I can enter in the name of someone that I want to grant access to. I can even control the level of access, whether it's full control, whether they can edit, or whether they're going to be able to view inside of this list. I'm going to keep the default here of can edit. Now, I can notify them, I can send them a message. I'm just going to go ahead and grant access. So now it sends out the access requests, and they've been granted access to the list. Great, but what's actually happening there? So let's actually go to the gear up here at the top. We're going to select list settings, and I want to go and explore the permissions to actually see what's happening. So I'm going to head to permissions for this list. And then right away, a couple of things jump out at me. Number one, the list has unique permissions. So by granting access, I've just created unique permissions on this list. Okay. The second thing that jumps out at me right down here, this person has been granted direct access to the list, and they've been given the contribute permission level. All right, so that explains what's actually happening. When I click that share button, it's granting access to that user using the grant access control, and in this case, it's giving a user permissions directly. Now, in the previous versions of SharePoint, we've had a lot of governance and guidance that suggest maybe it's not the best thing to give users direct access to content inside of SharePoint and creating unique permissions, because it becomes this big, complicated nest of unique permissions and direct access, and it's really hard to control. So it looks like that command is actually doing this. Now, I haven't had a chance to go into any administration to see if there are any kind of company-wide controls that we can put on this, but I'm interested in following up on that and maybe exploring a little bit more to see if there are going to be some additional controls that we can play. But I do know at this point, this is a simple way for me to go in to a list in SharePoint and then grant access to the list and all of its content without having to go and rebuild my permissions in other places. But it does kind of violate some of the best practice that we worked with, which is minimize unique permissions and minimize direct access inside of there. So I'm going to continue to explore with this. I'm going to see what some of the administration options are. I am kind of excited about this because this is a simplified way to give access to a lot of information for users, but I think there does need to be some control on that. So I'm going to follow up with another video and see what we can find out. Thanks for sitting along here with me and exploring. Hey, and feel free to reach out if you know more than I do. I'd love to learn and see if there's a little bit more out there. But I'm going to continue to dive into it, and I'll report back with another video. Thanks for joining.